Hey everybody, this is Josh Runquist for Heavy Debriefings, and it's time to talk about the final top 10 albums in the 2010s. My top 10 albums of 2019. Coming in at number 10 is The Offering with their debut album, Home. This thing is absolutely incredible, and I love the imagination on this album. Being able to combine so many different styles of melodeath, progressive death metal, groove metal, new metal, a little bit of thrash, so many great vocal capabilities as well too. Like, I hear elements of fair to midland of all bands sometimes throughout the album, which is absolutely incredible to me. And it's really hard to categorize this band. It's just the kind of band that you need to go into with the openness of open ears and be able to see if you enjoy what you hear. Some of it might sound like just like a giant hodgepodge that you won't care about, but if you give it time, everything does start to sync together and you see exactly what they're going for. Well, they kind of moved into more of the new metal side, which is not really my bag. Maybe they'll change that for the third album. I do love what they did with their debut. It cannot be messed with. Home is a fantastic album. At number 9 is the debut album, well, should I say debut solo album from Mats Levin under the pseudonym of Skyblood with the self-titled album. First of all, I love the name. Skyblood, one of my favorite band names out there. Second, Mats Levin is one of the most incredible singers we've ever had in metal. Being able to do everything from Candlemass to Yngwie Malmsteen to Therion to Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and so many guest appearances either doing full-on, backup, any kind of vocals, just simply incredible. And the fact that he does so much of the instrumentation on this album as well too is just jaw-dropping. From the opening moments of the voice, which is one of my favorite drum patterns I've ever heard in metal, all the way up to the last song, which is just a mega epic masterpiece. I just love everything about this. It shows off all the different styles that he's been a part of, whether you're looking for more of that 80s cock rock Yngwie feel, whether you're looking for more of that Candlemass feel, whether you're looking for some just great prog moments that's going on. It's all here, and it all works so very, very well. I really hope that there will be a sophomore album to Skyblood, because this album is just calling for a sophomore album. Maybe that'll happen in time, but until then, you should definitely give this album a shot. Coming in at number 8 is the self-titled album from Astronoid. After their amazing debut album, what could they possibly do next? Well, they really did focus in on some of the best parts of what they were able to accomplish. The fast, speedy songs, the amazing choruses, the amazing vocals. There is one downside of this album, which I know I'm not alone for this, and they started bringing it back on the third album, is the lack of blast beats. The blast beats is what really made this band stand out from other bands that could be anywhere near as similar, but I'm so glad that they brought it back for the third album. This time around, they were much more focused on song structure, and you can't fault them for that, because it really did work to their advantage. While this might be my third favorite of all three albums, that is not to say it is a lack of quality. These songs on here are absolutely incredible, and all you need to do is hear a song like I Dream in Lines to just know exactly what I'm talking about. This is a fantastic album, and if this sounds intriguing to you with that style of dream gaze, that dream pop black gaze fusion with progressive metal, you need to check this out. Coming in at number 7 is Cattle Decapitation with Death Atlas, and sadly, ironically, and not really, the band predicted the pandemic that would just so happen less than a year later when this came out, with the song Bring Back the Plague. What unfortunate timing, but maybe they are soothsayers. Who knows? But really, Travis Ryan and company just made an incredible progressive death metal death grind album here. I know it's not some people's favorite era, it's my favorite era. Like with an All Nakrath, I love the song structures, I love the progressive moments that go on throughout here. I love being able to hear everything clearly and audibly. I still feel it's very brutal, even though it has a lot more proggy moments behind it, and some shorter but also longer song structures, if that makes any kind of sense. Just more listenable, not too short for grindcore, it's too long for grindcore, too short for real prog. It's right in between. And if you just want to hear pretty much the soundtrack to your apocalypse, this is an album for you. Coming up next is Crit Sermon with The Ruins of Fading Light. And the For Fans Of section right there pretty much says it all. It is epic doom metal. If you love that early day Candlemass feel, but you want it updated, Crypt Sermon is the band for you. All their songs are nice, dark, and evil, done with such magnificent songwriting and musicianship. Everything from the vocals to the rhythm sections, the guitars, everything is just perfect on here. And perfect for that great Candlemass-inspired doom metal. If that's up your alley, and it's definitely mine, you need to check out Crypt Sermon. As of right now, this is the latest album, but I really hope that they'll be able to make a new album soon. I am thirsting for some new Crypt Sermon, so please, feed me that water. Coming in at number 5 is Insomnium with Heart Like a Grave. And what I've seen from a lot of people, they feel this is the best Insomnium album. I really need to go back to their discography and rank it for myself, but this is a damn fine choice. With Yanni Liebenheimen now joining the band on guitar, the band having now 3 guitarists, although 2 normally do the live setting, but that's besides the point. He incorporates so much of what he learned from his power metal, folk metal, symphonic metal roots into this melodic death metal band, and he takes that brightness and incorporates it into such darkness, and it works so very, very well. This does really have some of the best songs Insomnium has ever made, and it's a very strong argument that they are one of the best melodic death metal bands out there. Of course, with the ties to Omnium Gatherum, it makes a lot of sense. But if you want some of the finest melodic death metal of the 2010s, you need to look no further than Insomnium, and hey, while you're at it, why not check out Heart Like a Grave? Of course, you need to check out the brand new album, Anno 1696, but hey, we'll get to that later. At number 4, we have November's Doom with Niflheim Grove. I'm really bad at those kind of pronunciations. But I will say, arguably, this is the best November's Doom album to date. And so far, it is their latest album, and I really hope that they're working on a new one at some point. I need more November's Doom. But what I love so much about this album is that it kind of takes the death side of the band out, and it makes it more of like epic doom and melodic death metal without so much of the death part. While it still has that kind of instrumentation, Paul Kerr barely does any of his signature growls on this album, and he focuses much more on his clean vocals, kind of taking a Dan Swano approach on this album. And which, you know, Dan Swano mixed and mastered this album, that's why it sounds so good. But Niflheim Grove is just one of those albums that I just truly appreciate for what they're doing. Being able to add more of that gothic overtone instead of focusing on the more extreme sides, they're really showing the more extreme emotional side of the band. You can clearly hear all of the heartbreaking lyrics throughout every song here, and it just pans out so perfectly. I can't wait for the next November's Doom album. It's been too long. We're technically out of the pandemic at this point, so come on. Bring on that new November's Doom. Coming in at number 3 is Bloody Hammers with The Summoning. This album is a game changer for the band, and the first album where I feel like the band finally realized that they can mess around with their sound and it'll still sound like Bloody Hammers. Before this, it was very much focused on the gothic side, which I do love and appreciate. They know how to write some gothic tunes. On this particular album, they focused more on the metal side, which is so cool. There's a lot more double bass going on, a lot more metal riffs going on. Still the same kind of fun, campy horror that I love about Bloody Hammers, and it just works out magnificently. And on the next album, they focus more on the punk rock side of their sound. Still a little bit of metal, still a little bit of gothic, but it's more punk. And then on their latest album, they have a mishmash of everything. Gothic, metal, punk, horror, all of it. This one is the metal album, and I love what they do with it. And if you just want a fun, campy, grindhouse horror, fun-filled time, you need to check out Bloody Hammers. And why not start, especially if you're a metalhead, I don't know why you'd be checking out this channel if you weren't, check out the album The Summoning. Coming in at number 2 is Flesh God Apocalypse with the greatest symphonic death metal album ever made, Villano. I can say that there's been enough time, and it's accurate. This is the greatest symphonic death metal album of all time. Every other band has tried, some have even gotten close, but this demolishes it all. And that includes the previous discography of Flesh God as well too. This is just perfect from start to finish. Whether it's a very slow ballad, whether it's some of the fastest material they've ever made, every song on here is pure and utter perfection. Love songs, death songs, everything in life in between songs. It's all here and more in their gothic overtone, technical symphonic death metal goodness. Francesco and company, mwah, can't do it much better than what you've done. And unfortunately, there's been some sad events that have happened in the band, like Francesco taking a nearly death fall from rock climbing and has just recently in time been able to get back into playing shows. They recently played here a few months ago. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go. But if all of that's happening, that makes me think that there's new music on the horizon. So can they possibly top Villano? We are about to find out. And coming in at number 1, probably the redheaded stepchild of all of the 2010s when it comes to my list, but it makes perfect sense to me. It is More on Police with A Boat on the Sea. This concept album about life and the wacky adventures that come along with it is such a strange album on paper. It's progressive metal, progressive rock, alternative rock, pop rock, quirky moments, all put into a blender to create some of the most contagiously catchy songs you will hear in the genres. There's so much to love about this album, from the lyrics to the concept, to the instrumentation, to the left of center turns that you don't really see coming. Absolutely insane prog riffs that feel like it's written in 4/4, but it's not even close. And everything in between. This album came to me at the right time. It has that right amount of positivity, negativity, and just real life things that just hit me at the right time. And I really needed this. And it's funny coming from a band whose previous album, Defenders of the Backyard, had a song called Teabag Your Grandma. This is kind of the polar opposite of Teabag Your Grandma. This is the love and hug your grandma for dear life because you may never see her again type More on Police. And it's got me excited about what could happen in the future, despite some sad news coming that their drummer of the band has passed on last year. I'm very curious to see what's going to be happening with the band. I hope they continue on. But if they don't, A Boat on the Sea is their magnum opus. And I recommend anyone who loves prog, rock, metal, alternative, or quirky albums, you should really give this album a shot. And there you go, folks, my top 10 albums of 2019. The last 10 albums to conclude the 2010s. Coming up next will be the last 3 in this whole series, covering the 2020s so far, from 2020 to 2022. Not going to be doing 2023, as this will be done in August, and that's not the end of the year, is it? Well, of course I'll be doing my top 100 when it comes to all that. But what did you think of this list? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Do you want to crap at me from my own personal humble opinion? Did you make any new discoveries? Anything or more? Let me know down below. And of course, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I'll be looking forward to seeing you in the top 10 albums of 2020. But until then, or until my next top 10 video, interview, review, or any other type of video that I put up here on the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel. For Heavy Debriefings, this is Josh Runk was saying, see ya.